Take the case of identical twins Sherilyn and Lindsay Brady from Bristol.
When Lindsay fell pregnant with her first child, she had gone to a doctor, had a pregnancy test, and the test had come back negative. I'd been having similar symptoms, went to my doctor, had a pregnancy test, and it was positive. I was horrified. Eventually, Lindsay kept going back to a doctor, having more tests, and eventually one came up positive, and mine came up negative. When I had my first baby, it was decided I should have an epidural. So they gave me the epidural. No effect at all. Lindsay, who was 250 miles away, legs went numb, and she had all the benefits of the epidural.
I enjoyed it because I was flat out all day, whereas Sherilyn was getting all the pain, which she shouldn't have been getting.
Impossible, perhaps, but perhaps these identical sets of twins actually will these coincidences to happen, and when they look for them, they find them. But telepathy, strange coincidences, and strange psychic powers are not just the domain of identical twins. Take this story of Nella Jones, a well-known psychic cop from Bexley in Kent.
If you ask the police force, especially the Met, do you use clairvoyance? No, we never touch clairvoyance. But they do. I'm living proof that they do. And I have a letter to prove that they do. So, they can say what they like. I know the truth. They have always come to the door or rang me looking for my help. And the weird thing is I never refuse.
Well, I'm retired now, but I used to be in the Metropolitan Police as a CID officer. Back in February 1991, I was involved in a murder inquiry. After 6 months, we got absolutely nowhere, so we contacted Nella, and it was a bit unfair to her after that length of time. But I went with her to the park where a young lady had been murdered. Now, Nella walked in front of me, and she pointed exactly to where the spot was that the young lady had been murdered. We walked further on, and she pointed out another spot where she said, the murderer jumped over this fence. Now, that happened to be the exact spot that we found some documentary evidence that proved that.
And how would you rate her skills?
I think in response to that question, one has got to accept that Nella is the only psychic in this country that's ever got a letter of thanks from New Scotland Yard for the work that she's done for police.
Over the past 21 years, I've done too many cases to remember, I'm telling you. Majority of murders, but there have been robberies and all sorts of funny cases, but even one that involved Interpol. But yes, I've been involved in so many different cases, and I couldn't list them all. I just couldn't list them all.
So it would seem officially that only retired police officers are willing to admit to the existence of telepathy and psychic powers. But others whose curiosity has been piqued do dare to study the subject further and even carry out experiments.
About 2 years ago, I came in contact with a psychic in America on an electronic forum, and my interest developed after conversations with her. These investigations were done as much in a spirit of fun as from a scientific standpoint. However, I do have friends in organisations who are trying to embrace phenomena like telepathy in science and are trying to to find mathematical descriptions which will fit what happens, and B, to lay down standard procedures for other people to follow. We just chose whatever came to mind at the moment. One of the pictures that I transmitted was a poster which I'd collected on a visit to America. We visited the Niagara Falls, and the poster contained a picture of the falls, and in the foreground a tall tower, on top of which was a rotating restaurant. And I attempted to send her this image, and she picked up what she called a globe on a stand, which was a fairly close fit of the rotating restaurant on the tower. On another occasion, Helen transmitted a picture to me. She had selected from her household paintings one which had the moon and clouds and with a light horizon in the background. And I saw an image of a planet with crescent illumination, and also I saw dark clouds with a pale horizon beyond, and she said that this was a very good description of the picture that she was sending. We find that the success rate is highest if we're in a completely relaxed frame of mind, and in fact if we endeavour to concentrate hard on the object that we are sending, it doesn't seem to work so well. So we always try to relax and just carry the picture in our mind in this relaxed state. But we now have a large number of incidents recorded which seem to indicate telepathic ability, and of those, I would say approaching 30% are fairly convincing to me.
Another experiment covered by the Y-Files involved a rather unusual test subject, but the results were nonetheless remarkable. Take a look at this.
There was an article in a paper saying, "Is your dog telepathic?" And that's where I got in touch with Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, who's the scientist behind all this. And really, JT's not remarkable, other than he's my dog and I love him. He's doing what lots of pets out there are doing every day, and it's just that we've done a long study with him. It's not that he hears my car coming, because we've done it in other people's cars, taxis, bicycles, I've walked. I've done everything bar hang gliding to get home. It's not routine because we've tried it all the different times of the day and the evening. It's not his sense of smell, because I bath quite regularly. I don't think he can smell all the way to Birmingham from here, or Blackpool. So he's got this sort of invisible bond from him to me.
I think that the connection between the person and the pet depends on what I call morphic fields, invisible connections which link us to people, to our environment, and to animals with which we're bonded. These fields stretch out all around us. They're in our bodies, but they stretch out beyond us as well. These experiments with Pam and JT and with other pets are ways of exploring these invisible connections or fields.
I think we had it too, apparently. I think it's something that we've lost because of our technological age now. There are some people who are still tuned into this, but I think in the main we rely on telephones now and faxes and all the rest of it. So we're getting away from our natural way of being.
Well, dogs have the advantage of not going to school and not being taught that these things are impossible, so they just do them.
So, maybe we've just lost touch with what is a natural psychic or telepathic ability. Maybe what we're really talking about here is just natural intuition.